Okay, I just want to talk briefly on how to use the hull cameras that are available for the player. Now, the hull cameras are not necessarily hull cameras. I just called them hull cameras because I don't have a better name for them. But the cameras are tied to the vehicle in some kind of way or another. So, in the first two cameras case, when the ship moves, the camera follows it exactly and as though mounted to the ship. So when the ship rotates, the camera will also rotate with it. And with the world tide cameras, the camera will move in relation to the ship exactly. However, it will not rotate with the ship. So if I close this menu really quick, and if I switch, I don't know why some of them are getting all backwards like this. There's a bug in there somewhere. Okay, so now, if I go to fly here and I'm set onto the hull tide camera, then you can see that the camera stays locked to the ship's position and rotation, so it'll just follow the ship exactly. I have two of them set up on there. But if I go to the world tide camera, you see that the camera does not follow the ship's rotation at all. It just sits wherever you put it. And then, like for example here, I've got it overhead, which I usually do not fly like this. So then this camera will stay at a fixed distance and relative position from the ship, but it'll follow it, but it won't rotate around. And then here I've got one set up somewhere else. So from the hull tide camera menu, which I use the keypad plus to open, although you can configure it however you would like in the camera controls. You're looking for the hull cam menu, and here you can see it's keypad plus. So the way that you position the camera is first you make sure that the camera is selected in this screen right here. So here you have hull tide camera 1, and look, I don't understand why this camera is doing that, but for some reason when I select this button, it's changing these, and that's a bug that has not that doesn't make sense for the programming. I don't know why that's happening. So, but you can just recenter the camera mount and then reposition it. So here you have the camera mount rotation in the camera position, and then there's also the camera rotation. So you can rotate just the camera, and then you can later rotate the camera mount. And some of those rotations will be duplicated, but what'll happen is if I want to move my camera over here, and then I want to aim it over here, and then I want to turn it sideways, well, I can't do that just like that. So then now I can rotate it this way maybe, and then I can end up with all different angles by having these two different, one of them is kind of like a one mount and the other one's kind of like another mount on top of it. So by having the ability to rotate fully and then to rotate again, now you can have all different kinds of angles that you can achieve on the ship. And then you can position the camera, you can position it so that it's very close to the ship or sees through the ship, or you can position it so that it's far away. And however it is that you want to position it, you can use it to fly, or you can use it to view replays. I use these cameras to view replays. And then same thing with the WorldTide camera. You can position it with these sliders here. I don't know what's going on here. So it's a little buggy. I'm not sure why that is. But for some reason, that's nothing to do with my programming. I don't know what's going on here. I got to figure that out at another time. But for some reason, some of the controls get really wonky. Where if I push this button here, it actually changes the. See here, it changes this rotation. Why is that doing that? That has nothing to do with my programming. That's purely a result of, I don't know, some bug in the game. So I don't know how to even track that down. So then if I want to fly using this camera here, because that's how I can see, and I want to take a little recording. So here I am, I'm flying around. Pretty fun. I got my throttle on, I'm changing direction. Alright, so now I want to watch what that looks like, because that's what I want to do. So I'll stop recording, then I'll start replaying. Well, now I can switch to these other cameras, and now I'm not flying, but I can see what my thrusters look like when the ship does this or does that, and I can have all different camera angles. So you don't have to be making a video to wish that you could have seen how the thruster gimbal was flipping around during one part of your flight. So the replay system is not really for making videos. I mean, you can use it that way however you want to use it. It's really just for the player to, because it's very challenging to fly from all different funny camera angles, but maybe they want to see the ship in action during those different camera angles. You know, for example, here I've got the gimbal rocket, and you might want to watch how your gimbal looks from, you know, different maneuvers and how you're flying. Well, you can do that using the replay camera, and then you can get all different camera angles by switching to these different WorldTide cameras, and then you can kind of view your replay. Or if you want to make a video where you can see your high performance maneuvers only from the external views, then you can, of course, use the replay camera to, and then these other cameras, and then you can run that replay several times and move your cameras around and get it at a bunch of different angles, and then edit together some kind of cool thrust video, you know, your own little version of The Expanse or something like that. But, so that's just a quick rundown on how to use these WorldTide cameras. So you open the menu with the keypad plus, and you can reposition them. And I really have to apologize. I'm not sure why that it's doing this thing where it's affecting the recentering of the cameras. Why is that happening? That's crazy. I don't know. This button has nothing to do with those positions, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. I probably just have to, usually what I end up having to do is I have to delete the game object. I have to copy it, delete it, and paste it back in, and then the behavior goes away. So it's just some kind of corrupted game object where, for who knows how that can even happen, but if I just, you know, every button is a game object, the ship is a game object, it's a hierarchy, everything you see is a game object. All I have to do is figure out which one is the worm, which one is the bug, and I just copy it, delete it, and then paste it back, and it goes away. So I'll have to spend some time doing that with this here in the near future, but you can always just use your recenter camera mount button, and then it should only take you a second to put it back, you know, where you had it. I mean, maybe you really were super careful about where it was going to go, but for the most part, you should be able to remember where you had your camera pretty easily. It's not that big of a deal. It's just on a slider like this, you can't get that much precision anyways. Alright, thank you very much.